I'm Jeff Derry. I'm the director of Center for Snow and Avalanche Studies up there in Silverton, Colorado. And in my first experience noticing dust on snow was, and maybe this is the case for many of you as well, skiing in the backcountry of Colorado and the ski resorts of Colorado. I grew up in Colorado Springs, and on the weekends we would, as much as possible, try and hit the slopes. And then, you know, when you're taking a break, looking around, you see this kind of dirty snow surface, and you think to yourself, wow, that's interesting. I wonder how that affects a snowpack. And so that thought lasts about 5 seconds, and then you're back to skiing, right? For my predecessor, Chris Landry, who founded our center and was my predecessor, he first noticed dust on snow seriously when he was working as an avalanche forecaster near the town of Marble. And for that particular avalanche cycle he was concerned about, he thought the dust might have played a role in the avalanche cycle itself. So after he started our center, he was approached by a researcher, Tom Painter, and asked him if he wanted to participate in a dust on snow research project. That fit Chris's interest as well as our center's interest. And so it worked out really well because Chris just signed an agreement with the Forest Service to establish our Senator Beck Study Basin. And that study basin is kind of near the top of Red Mountain Pass up there. And in the basin we acquired about 4 weather stations. 2 of those stations measure the entire energy budget of the snowpack, all incoming solar radiation, all reflected solar radiation, everything you need to know to try and assess what's going on with dust on snow. And so it became apparent to Chris that in short order that the problem was getting worse, and it was a long-term problem as well. And so more work and research continued. And this also required changing and developing our sampling protocols. It involved expanding our sampling footprint. So we established sampling sites around the state of Colorado, 10 other sites besides our Senator Beck Study Basin down in the lower left corner there. And these are the sites we visit to this day, assessing dust on snow conditions. And for Chris Landry and for myself as well, this quickly turned into a applied science project, meaning we would take the latest what the science was telling us, and we immediately go to water districts, water managers, the state of Colorado, the Colorado Water Conservation Board, and show them our findings and what this means for the snowpack of Colorado and for streamflow. What else? Okay, so dust on snow, and all this work led up to the creation of our Colorado Dust on Snow program. And the thing about dust, and I think you all agree that it's just very visceral, right? You can see it, you can feel it in your gut as to what's going on there. Everything, if you're down in the desert and you're in a dust storm, if you're in your Aspen and you see the dust blowing in on a winter's day, or 2 months later you're skiing and you see the dust on the snow surface or in the snowpack as a layer in the snowpack. So it's pretty striking. And when I give talks, it doesn't take much to convince people this is having a big effect. So actually that image up there to the upper right, that's a satellite image, and the magenta kind of bright pink streaks you see there is dust that mobilized in the northern New Mexico, northern Arizona area, and is making its way towards the Colorado mountains. So what's going on here with dust on snow in a nutshell? Well, in a typical season, hopefully you get snowstorms coming in, dumping snow on the mountains, and then every once in a while you get a storm track coming through the desert Southwest, which is kind of the main dust source region for dust mobilization that gets carried to the Colorado mountains. So every once in a while these storms pick up dust, bring them to Colorado, dump it on the snowpack, and come springtime, when that first dust layer kind of comes to the surface, it melts the snow faster than it would have otherwise, and it melts down to the next dust layer, and those two dust layers join at the surface. Cold dust is at the surface of the snowpack. It doesn't get washed down to the bottom or anything like that. And so those two layers coalesce at the surface and melt the snow even faster down to the next dust layer, and so on and so forth until all the dust layers are located right at the top of the snowpack, really making it really dirty, absorbing a lot of solar radiation, which is warming and melting the snowpack much, much faster than would have otherwise. And Mackenzie is going to talk really soon and go into this stuff in real detail, so I'm just kind of skimming on it. So so we have a clean snowpack, dirty snowpack. What is that? What's that word we're looking for? And that's albedo. Albedo is simply just the fraction of reflected light to the incoming light, solar radiation of any given thing, really. So for snow, a clean, fresh snowfall has an albedo, or if you want to say reflectance, that works as well. As a reflectance of about upwards of 90%. It's reflecting 90% of the solar radiation back into space. This is another example. Water has an albedo of around 6-7%, so at least less than 10%. So it's absorbing 90% of solar radiation that's coming into contact with. So that's a huge, stark difference. And so you can just see that work right here in this picture here. Some clean snow rolled down onto a dirty snow surface, and you see the difference in melt rates between the clean snow surface and the dirty snow surface. So what does that mean for streamflow? Well, first I should mention, with the snow melting faster, it melts earlier. Typically, it melts faster, and it can even reduce overall yields. So if that snowpack melts and is gone from the landscape earlier in the season with vegetation and soils exposed earlier in the season, then that increases transpiration rates and evaporation rates, which is water leaving the system that would otherwise make its way to the streams and rivers. What does that mean for streamflow in terms of timing? Well, albedo, this is what you see here in this plot here is a plot of albedo and streamflow. So the red line is albedo, and the blue line is streamflow. So when we have a high albedo, so the red line's spiking upwards towards 1, that's a high albedo, highly reflective, very clean snow surface. We see streamflows go down. When we have a dirty snow surface, a low albedo, dirty snow surface, that's increasing the melt of the snowpack, and we see streamflows rise. They just kind of go one-to-one with each other throughout the spring season. And I picked 2016 for this demonstration because it was a really good example, because in that year, 2016, like every 7 days or so, we got a snowstorm which buried the surface dust. And then over the following week, the dust would slowly come to surface and increase the warming and melt of the snowpack. And then we get another dust storm, or another snowstorm. And it would get covered again, and albedo would shoot up again and slow snowmelt. So that's kind of how the interplay between albedo or the dirtiness of the snow surface plays out with streamflow. And so when I give talks, I've been doing this for about 9 years now. Every talk I give, no matter where it's at, the first question I guarantee you is always, well, we know what the problem is, why don't we do something about it? And I always think to myself, well, yeah, why don't we? It's a good suggestion, but what do you say? It's like in very short order, I am at a loss for words. Because there's no easy answers, there's no short answers for a question and answer session. And so I usually just end up saying, well, it's complicated. Something to that effect. And we're going to hit on that today as well, a little bit more depth, just how complicated this endeavor really is. But I do know one thing through experience, which Jake hit on from our prior attempts at doing this. It's going to take a community, and it's going to take a lot of perseverance to do this. And so I would just like to maybe just end this final slide with suggesting that maybe we think like a watershed. And when you do that, watershed can be defined in many different scales. We need to know what's going on in our backyard and the backyard of our neighbors, downstream or upstream or wherever it may be. The small bits up to the whole enchilada, right? So with that, I think we can have that other group that was going to come up here.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.